Hello, I'm Diane and welcome to my channel Beyond the Sewing Room. So today I thought I'd share with you 3 of my favourite creative books that I like to use, and one of them is a really famous one that's been covered lots of times before, but I'm just going to tell you my opinion on it and what I think of it, what I liked, what I didn't. And then the other 2 you may not have come across. They're more fantasy, art, drawing books, but I like to use them in my sewing sometimes, and as I do a lot of sewing, I also like to draw. I thought I'd show the ways that I've used them in my work. So I'm going to get right to it and start with the first one, which is The Artist's Way. So I bought myself this book 2 years ago. Now the reason I bought this was I bought it as a gift to myself, and I had wanted it for some time. And I'd heard of it and I was really intrigued by it. So I bought it when I left my previous job, which was really fitting because I was embarking on something new. So I thought it would be a really good idea to get this book that I'd wanted and work my way through it. So what I did was, when I first started in my new career, what I'm doing now, which is working for myself, I thought I would work through the programme as outlined in the book. Now, if you're not familiar with The Artist's Way, you might be confused when you first pick it up, because it's not a how-to book of how to make art as such. It is more like a programme. So what you do is you work through the 12 weeks, and the main focus of this is morning pages. Now, I'm going to get straight into saying a few things that I don't like about this book, even though I do like it. Now, first of all, it is very much like a therapy book. So it's as though you're working through your ideas of yourself as not being creative, because we're all creative. And there's different steps that you have to go through and different processes that you have to go through. Now, this might sit better with some people than it does for others. And it does say in the book that it is uncomfortable to work through some of these things, some of these thoughts, some of these memories. So as you go through each chapter, you work on a different topic and you do different things. So you'd have different things that you do each week, but some of the things stay the same. So the morning pages are something that you have to get out every day. So in The Artist's Way, you do morning pages each day, and you have to do 3 full sides, big sides, and you have to write without stopping. Now, this was something that I found really difficult, because it does say, even if you're writing, I can't think what to write, you must keep going. And I found that this felt really forced. Now, I did do it, and I ended up with tons and tons of pieces of paper with a lot of nonsense on a lot of the time. A few gems in there, and that's the idea. You're not to read them also until a certain point. So you're supposed to just do it and then put it away somewhere, not let anybody else read it. That could also be difficult, I think, if you have children around or a nosy partner. You might find that difficult to actually put down what you're thinking, because you might find somebody's going to read this and I feel silly. So that could be difficult. I didn't have that problem. My children are grown up and my husband wouldn't really be bothered about looking at everything I wrote down anyway. But some of you might have partners who are like that. That might put you off. But either way, you're supposed to just put down whatever comes to your mind, keep going with it, and even if you can't think of anything, just keep the pen moving. So I did feel this felt rather forced at times, and I think there are other ways that the morning pages could be used better. But even if it's just a tool to get you into the habit of doing that, or journaling, it could be beneficial for using in that way. Now, another big key theme of The Artist's Way is you do artist dates each week. Now, again, I think these are a brilliant idea, but for many of us, especially if you've got a busy life, each week or a set point each week can come around really quickly. And if you're forcing yourself to say, I've got like a date with myself and I'm going to go off and do something different each week for a fixed amount of time and be completely on my own, finding that bit of time each week could also be really tricky. And I feel also that this might be something that becomes more of a chore rather than something that's fun. So I do like the idea of that, but maybe I think they could be better spaced, and if people are going to use them, once a month might be a better idea. But for the theme of going with the book, you're supposed to do it every week while you're doing this course. So that's another thing that was a good idea, but I didn't feel it would work so well for most people to do it every week. The next thing was writing the letters and looking back on people from your previous life. So going all the way back to school and thinking about your teachers and your parents and everything that's been said to you, and writing letters to these people and apologising, or having them apologise to you in the form of a letter, or forgiving them, in fact. I found all this a bit strange. Now, a lot of people have said, and I've watched other videos, of people talking about the artist way and saying it does get a bit ooh. And people have said that it does get a little bit out there at times. Now, I'm not sure about that as such, but I did feel for me that it dwelled too much on things that have happened before. As I may have said in a previous video, I don't think we need to go back and rake over every past thing that's ever happened and go over it again and again. I really don't think that's helpful. Now, a really big positive of the book for me was the way that it gets you to get your ideas out, accept that we're all creative in our own different ways, to explore new experiences with the artist way and trying different things and writing things down. List is a big thing. It gets you to write lots of lists, different things, jobs you would have done, things you'd like to do, places you'd like to go, people you big, so on, things like that. So it's very big on writing lists, but it's getting you to think more, open up your heart to new ideas and experiences and so on, so that you'll have more creative sort of input coming from elsewhere for you to give out. So I did really like that about it. Also, it tells you to do different things, like finding a little space for you in your home that can be just yours as an artist, whatever your form of art might be. And something that really did jump out to me, and I've bookmarked it to show you, there's something that I've heard this before, and I said it to somebody once years ago when we were talking about something, and I thought I really need to take my own advice on this sometimes. And if you've got this particular version of my book, because I know there are different ones, newer editions, so I've got the newer one, and it's on page 138, and it says age and time, product and process. Question: do you know how old I'll be by the time I learn to play the piano? And the answer is the same age you will be if you don't. And of course that's true of everything, because no matter how long we live, we can always be learning something right to the end. And whether we do something or whether we don't, that time is going to pass, isn't it? And we'll still be us, and we'll still be the same age. So we might as well have done those things that we wanted to do anyway. So that was a really big takeaway for me on this. So there's lots of positives. I just had to point out the things that maybe I didn't like, so that you can spot them straight away if you're like me and still work through it, because it's a really good book. I just feel that maybe doing it over the 12 weeks if you're busy is maybe too much, and you may find some of the activities a bit out of your comfort zone. But what I feel is it's one that I will go back to now, and I'm going back to it again at the moment, and not working through it in the same way, but keeping the principles. So I still like the morning pages, I still like the artist dates, I still like a lot of the activities in there, but to dip in and out now in future. So that's a big one for me. That's one that's staying, but one that I'll use in a different way to maybe the way it's set out in the book. So that's number one. Now the next two are along a very similar theme. So the first one is imagine a forest. So it's very much drawing and fantasy sort of imagery. So that I'm going to give a flick through. So I'm going to pop these on the table and I'm going to flick through so you can have a better look at these. So I'll link that one in here. So here we have imagine a forest. So it's really beautiful. I love the colours in this book and the patterns. So there's a section all about patterns and so on. Move it up a little so you can see. Tools, colour palette, flowers, foliage and insects. So it's in different sections. I love this sort of folk art type of look, I think it is. So it shows you how to build them up. I don't tend to follow the instructions when I draw from these books. I tend to just get a little inspiration and then do it my own way. I mean, I've not been professionally taught to draw, so I think I may have different ways of doing things. So different compositions, flower variations. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit so you can see. Here are some of them used in pattern. So I would imagine if you're like doing textile or fabric designs for print, that would be brilliant to see how they've been combined together to create the patterns. I was working on something similar to this last night while I was sat in the evening. Different animals. I'll skip ahead a little bit. You can see how they've been used in full pictures. Again with prints. Mythical creatures. Fairy tales. Lettering. And then different shapes, how to add the designs into different shapes and lettering. That's the gingerbread houses that gave me the inspiration for making one of my bags. Obviously I didn't do it the same as that, but it just gave me the idea. I'm going to skip to the back because in the back there's some project ideas. So making a stamp and ways that it can be used. Wall hangings, pottery, furniture, stationery, jewellery. So loads of different ways that you can use. I love these. The plates with the stamps on, they're just gorgeous. So that's that one. And then here we have The Creature Garden by Harry and Zanna Goldhawk. I'm not sure if I've said her name correctly, I hope I have. Again, I just love the colours and the way that they've been used in this book. It's like a feast for the eyes. So a little bit about the couple and their background. Again, materials. Keeping sketchbooks. And then again in this book we've got step-by-step instructions for building up the animals. If you want to do it this way. Using pattern. So as I said, this one is very much all different animals. I'll jump ahead a little bit so you can see a bit further into the book. Again, the way that the things have been used, the way that the animals and the different flowers and plants have been put together to create these pictures. I just love them. I just think they're so beautiful. This one. So it gives you some ideas of, you know, basic animals and way that you can combine them to make different designs. You don't have to copy theirs, you could just use it as a takeaway for something you might want to do. Horses. I love drawing horses. I can draw a horse without copying an image now these days because I used to draw such a lot of them when I was a little girl because I loved horses. I never got to go horse riding or anything. So I used to just buy horse books and posters and draw them all the time. So that is something that I can draw and I like to draw. Maybe not very often anymore, but it's just from practicing, isn't it? So I'll skip ahead again to show you a little bit further into the book. So there's a bit on botanicals in here, sort of mythical creatures. Unicorns. A lot of little girls are into unicorns, aren't they? Centaur. Fairies. So this back part is on mythical creatures. And then we've got bees, damselflies. It's a whole section on insects, birds, and sea creatures and fish. So as you can see, there are not straightforward depictions of animals or people. They are very much sort of the illustrations that you would get in children's books and so on. But I love them. It is just so colourful. So I'll flick through that one further. I'll show you the next one, and then I'm going to explain some of the ways that I've used them in my bag making. So I like to make handbags. I did have an Etsy shop, but I've closed that now. I had it for quite a number of years, but I did find that over the recent sort of year or so, I've only been getting a sale sort of once every so many months, and it was more paying listing fees and then a large amount of fees on the small amount I made on each bag. So I've closed that. I'm thinking what to do next with that, because I really do enjoy making them. But this is the next one, and both of these I've been bought as gifts. So they've been really loved and well appreciated gifts because, like I say, I do use them. I like to draw, I like to paint, not as often as I would like because I do more sewing than anything. But I use them to make images in sewing. So I'm going to hold something up straight away before you don't get the idea of what I mean. And this particular one, I used an image from the book. It's my interpretation of it. And this bag, I called it Bird King. So this is faux leather. It was in my shop. I've sold a couple of others along a similar line. No two have been the same. So they've all been very different. And this is all made out of fabric and faux leather. And then stitched on. Bead for the eyes. And the bag is plain on the back. So I've made the imagery with pieces of faux leather and fabric that I've cut out and I've appliqued on the design. So mine's not exactly the same, but it's similar. So that's something that I like to do. I like to take the images and then do my interpretation of them, which I think is the same with a lot of creations that people make, isn't it? And you can put your spin on them and make something new. So that's what I've done with that. And then this one, again, another bag, again a faux leather one. This one was sort of on the gingerbread house theme. So I looked at some of the pictures of the gingerbread houses in the books and the imagery, and very much like sort of childlike pictures and flowers and so on. And I made my own interpretation of that. So this wasn't one directly from the book, but there was something similar. And then stitched around it with embroidery stitches in a circle to create a frame for that on that particular bag. So again, that's faux leather and very much rainbow theme for the inside. So that's another one. I'm going to insert one that was sold up here because I don't have that one anymore, and I do love that, and I will show you the picture for that one that is in the book because it is very similar, but very much mine's more of a cat than a fox. I will show it here, and that one sold pretty quickly, so I don't have that one to show you anymore. So there are different ways that you can use these images depending on what you do. Maybe you do jewellery making, you might just do art or cards, things like that. I have made birthday cards along these lines as well. And this one's the creature garden. So I was bought this one, not this Christmas, the Christmas before. So I'm hoping for some more of these. And again, this kind of thing. I love the colours that are used in these books. So this one is very much animals. And this one's by Harry and Zanna Goldhawk. I will link them below, so in case you're interested in getting these books, because they are just fabulous. And if you like this kind of artwork, very much not direct representations of things, but their own spin on it, and the colours used, they are just beautiful. So they're my favourites. That's some of the ways that I've used them. As I said, I'm going to do a better flick through, so you'll have a better idea of the kind of thing that's in these books, and I hope that's been useful to you. Very much inspiration, I think. Very much books can be used for inspiration, I think, and I'm always on the lookout for others. I mean, I've had them from the library before that I've not loved as much and I've not got as much from. So if you've got any favourites, anything that jumps out at you, even if you do something completely different, I don't think we all have to be making or doing the same kind of things to draw inspiration from things. If you've spotted something, or you own a book, an art book, or an ideas book that you think I might be interested in, please pop it in the comments and let me know. And then I'll check it out, and I'll maybe do a video on what I thought about it and whether I managed to get my hands on it. So thank you so much for watching today. I hope this has been helpful to you, and please like and subscribe. Bye for now.